Hello world, welcome back to the PG.biz podcast, an all new series for 2024. As ever, I'm your host Brian Baglow, along with the incredible Peggy Ann Saltz. Hi Peggy, a very happy new year.
Thank you, Brian. Same to you. And it's going to be an amazing year because it got off to such a bang. We're all busy getting ready for London. And hey, we will be there too. And we will be doing some improv podcasts and interviews at the event. Are you pumped, Brian?
Oh, so pumped. It brings together so many incredible people, sparks so many interesting conversations, and being the outgoing, sociable kind of podcast hosts that we are, I'm sure we're going to find a whole raft of new guests to invite onto the show and talk to over the course of the whole of 2024.
You bet. And that's where we're starting here because our guest today will also be there. So if you're tuned in now and you're like, hey, I have to talk to this guy, go to London, and you can, right? Because this is also a really important topic to really move into January. You know, it's fresh start. Brian, we're thinking about what are we going to do and what are we going to do in our careers? What are the talents in demand? Where are you going to get your next gig? And to talk about it all, we welcome Oleg Paliy. He's CEO, Games Factory Talents. Oleg, first of all, thanks for being here and thanks for bringing the brand. We definitely see where you're from. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the company to start?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Peggy, for having me. Yeah, we basically help studios to find the talents, help talents to find the next career opportunities where they would fit like the best. Yeah, at the upcoming Pocket Gamer, we're going to host the Career Zone. We hosted the Career Zone in Helsinki. It was like a pilot project and it turned out to be very, very popular. A lot of people came, asked for the advice on their LinkedIn, on their resume, on their next career move. So we were super busy. So it kind of felt natural that we can take it to the next level now at the London PGC, actually in 2 weeks. So super excited to be here and super excited to be part of the Pocket Gamer Connect.
That's great. And we're delighted to have you because obviously one of the key themes of the last 12 months over the whole of 2023 was the almost weekly update in terms of the number of people who were being laid off, the number of companies who were letting people go. But how's the landscape looking in 2024?
What I feel strongly inside as being an entrepreneur myself, I feel that these layoffs is actually going to generate many more new startups. So new studios will come out. We have seen in the couple of last years, what I've seen is mainly like consolidation of the industry. So the bigger studios were getting bigger by acquiring like a smaller studios. By offering these amazing packages, like to attract the super top talent kind of a way. So, and they succeeded in that one. Now they're releasing some people, quite super talented people who've been part of the success stories, so to say, building like successful games. And now suddenly they are like unemployed or laid off. What I've seen, for instance, in those senior talents who've been part of successful projects, I see that actually they're not that keen on getting like a new job. Surprise, surprise, right? When I talk to them. And so I feel that this will actually, there will be a spike of new companies.
So it's great to hear that you're optimistic about the future of the sector, that you see green shoots, new startups. But for those people out there who are looking to get into the industry or looking for something new within the industry, what's the key for them?
So you're looking for career opportunities right now, get your LinkedIn pimped up. I did like a very deep presentation on the things, what you need to do. There are like 5-6 steps, super practical. So definitely LinkedIn, like number one. Second, still LinkedIn is pretty standard. So like everyone will look the same in there with the skills and everything. If especially for those people that are more on the creative side, the artists, designers, get your portfolio out, like absolutely. And If you are super creative and you have time, you can build your own, but I would strongly recommend look at the existing portfolio websites like ArtStation, Level 80, Behance. So definitely get it there. If you are more on the tech side, developers, technical artists, data analysts, get your GitHub pimped up as well. So build your portfolio or make your page represented on LinkedIn, but then make more things. Like if you're on the tech side, GitHub, absolutely put it there. It doesn't take that long, but people will be looking into your code. If you're an artist, designer, definitely the portfolio. It's a must-have.
It's all very well. Your CV can maybe get you a foot in the door, but you need to have that visibility and that presence out there across the internet.
Absolutely. And the recruiters, I keep saying that the recruiters, they are just people who look at on the surface. But in order for you to show your skills, to get to basically our advices and things that I'm saying will help you get that first interview, right? Whether you have the core skills for that particular role might not happen. Maybe they need a little bit different skill set. But anyway, having a good populated LinkedIn with the skills, ask for recommendations and things like that, plus the GitHub or the portfolio, it will open you the door to the company, at least having that first initial interview.
Some great advice there, Oleg, and I think a lot of people listening to this are going to put that to very good practice. But what are the most common mistakes that you see people making when it comes to getting themselves out there on LinkedIn? Is it inactivity? Is it letting things get out of date? What are they doing wrong?
I mean, I think that there's many things to do wrong. First of all, I think to remember that it's a social network, but it's very professional. Okay, not maybe a mistake, but get a professional headshot. It's super easy, right? You don't really need to go to to take a photographer, right? You can make it one of yourself in front of the wall or with the wall on the background and your phone, but just make it look professional. That's number one. Second one that I feel what needs to be done and what I've seen so many times is that I still prefer where people write in their heading or in their job title exactly the kind of role they are. Even if you're not don't yet have a job, don't put there that you're unemployed. I would suggest that you keep the title, because that's the first thing what the recruiters are gonna see. And the more specific you are on LinkedIn, I think it's the best, actually. If you look at all the projects or the roles that you have done in the past, you can have been part of building amazing games or super simple games. Doesn't really matter, as long as you go to those roles or those jobs that you've done and exactly specify what you have done. You have been programming shaders, right? Or you have done the environment art in that project. I think this is what we recruiters are looking for, because, today a recruiter would look at your LinkedIn or your resume for maybe 5-7 seconds. If you think about it, the amount of applications that you receive. So if you want the eyeballs of recruiters to stay longer, that's the first thing you want to do. You want the eyeballs of recruiters to stay on your LinkedIn page for more than 5 seconds, right? Today, it's super simple how you can add the skills, exactly what you've done. So C++, Java, Python, R, Maya. So those things are super easy, simple to do. It's very clear for you because you've been doing this job, but recruiters have never been technical artists. They have never been programmers. So they will be looking at the keywords. So adding those keywords is super important. So you've been using Python, you've been using R, or you've been using Maya. So specify there. And LinkedIn has it all covered. So you don't really need to type. It's going to suggest you those skills. So those skills in the job for sure. And plus, as I said, write there exactly what you did. What was your part? Maybe it was an amazing AAA project for sure, but there's another 200 or 300 people been working on it. So you've done environment, specify that you've done environment, or you did the combat enemies AI or something like that. So really right there, what is it exactly that you've done? Because the first thing we recruiters will see is that the job title, the skills, if it match, and then we're going to read what is it that you have done. And if it corresponds or correlates to the role I'm looking for talents, I'm going to stay there and I'm going to contact you, or I'm going to look at your resume if you apply for a job.
Show what you can do and explain it. But what about the talents themselves, the skill set? How is that changing? Because we just came out of a year that was the year of AI, right? And I'm hearing so much about the importance of saying how good you are at prompting or that you understand it. And then there's this amazing quote that left such an impression on me from one of our shows, Brian. And he said, AI will not take your job, but someone who can use AI will take your job. So how's that playing out in 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally like a believer in it. It's super important. You mentioned that what are the skills in demand. So I tell you from my experience from last year or last couple of years, I felt that actually the technical art has become more and more like in demand. So somebody who can do the art at some level, plus somebody who can understand the code, the engines, who can really like correlate. So somebody in between kind of way. So like funnily enough, last year we had a lot of requests. So we hired many like technical artists, and the technical artists, there were also some artists and some tech people who turned to be the technical artists. So somebody who can understand the code and also relate to the art, at least understand the art styles and actually can do something more. So I feel that this will be more and more in demand, and especially when the AI comes to play. So with the prompting that you can build that art, plus you can also understand the code to a certain level, at least how it functions, so that you can build in this art into the code and then you can even test it. So that's, I feel, will be like super in demand, so to say. The industry is changing and there will be more and more demand, in my opinion, for those people who can create these prompts and then being able to evaluate like the results of it. So definitely in the way I feel, it's just there hasn't yet maybe been like these job descriptions formed like that. There's nobody yet looking for like AI artist. But if you ask me, I would say that it's just a question of time.
But then there's also, UA. I'm hearing a lot about retention as being the metric. So we're going to be looking a lot of CRM people who might be needed more than before, because now, of course, UA is different. Data analysts, product. What are the other titles, the other positions that you feel are going to be in great demand this year as maybe different to other years, or simply because it's a sign of the times?
Definitely, I feel that UA will be there, like super high in demand, because I think that nothing is gonna beat machine. You can be like a super cool UA manager, but still, I feel that the data will kind of win. So what you need to do is definitely master and understand those tools that are using the AI. Of course, AI is not going to be able to completely do it for you, the whole like job for you. But so yes, Peggy, you're absolutely right. I think it's just gonna come to all the industry, like across. So it will be like across the industry for sure. It will not just affect only like artists. I think it's just maybe because art is so much more visual, that's why we see it more, so to say, because there's been a lot of pictures and that have been like AI generated. Maybe just in the media it was covered more, but it will essentially come across everything. And if you have that skills and if you really understand and you follow the trends and in your own specific field, if you master those things, like exactly like you said, the prompting, it will be in demand. I guarantee 100%.
You have to have the skill set. But I also hear a lot about the culture fit. And I'm wondering, is that lip service, or do studios say, yes, we want talent, but we also want talent that fits our culture? I mean, they don't want to just continually hire and then, find it doesn't work out. And there has to be hard skills and soft skills. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing more of an emphasis on that? And how do you hire for those soft skills?
It's a great question, Peggy. What can I say? I mean, for sure, like core competences need to be in place, right? Something, if you're a programmer, artist, designer, UA manager, so you need to master your core skills. But I think that soft skills are equally important. Okay, I tell you this interesting story. So we haven't been able to hire like a super talented environment artist for a long time with like AAA experience. It's just super difficult to hire. There are these people that what they are looking for, but maybe they didn't want to move, or maybe they didn't like the project. So there's so many factors kind of way. And then in the end of the day, in one of our events, I said that, look, how about we run this competition and let everyone, you have this test that you give to these talents. How about we just put that test and let everyone who wants to contribute and contribute. They did it, and they hired the talent who had zero experience in the games industry. Okay, they didn't hire him for the senior like environment artist. They hired him for the junior. They said, you know what? But I said that, look, if I would have ever come back to you and said and showed you any kind of portfolios who has not only AAA experience, but zero experience in the games industry, what would you tell me? You would tell me like, Oleg, you're wasting my time. What are you talking to me? So what has happened is that the person was so committed and so really wanted to be part of it, so passionate. He had the skills, but he had never worked in the industry. So he was accepting the fact that he joined as a paid intern, like or a junior or something like that. So he didn't. So he actually did like a step back, or like even 2 step backs from the other industry just to jump in. And in 6 months, he was already like working on that AAA project environment artist, you see. So I feel it's a lot to do with like with exactly those soft skills, you see, Peggy. Like the teams that are a little bit more open-minded, I think they're gonna win more, because if you get somebody on board who maybe technically is not a perfect fit, and there are candidates that have the perfect skills, but that just doesn't bond, and you don't have like a good feeling that it's gonna work out. I think those that hire people that you have a great feeling, you're not sure about the core competences, but then the person, if she's committed and the culture is there and it's a proper fit, it's gonna work even better.
You can teach new skills, but attitude is something that is much harder to shift. So just as a quick follow-up to that then, Oleg, how would someone who's looking for a job, who wants to engage with a recruitment agency, how do you bring that out? You've talked about the portfolio, you've talked about, your online profile through LinkedIn, but how do you convey that attitude outside something like a competition, a jam?
If there's a will, there's a way, right? I have seen so many people who were just so committed and they wanted to join that studio to work on that game because they loved the game, they played it, and they eventually made it. Maybe not in the first attempt, so definitely. I would say that absolutely, again, LinkedIn, right? You can set the job notifications for the studio to see whenever a new role like comes out of the studio. You're on the LinkedIn, you can see who are the recruiters in that studio. So connect with them. Of course, if they don't have the roles open, it will be a little bit maybe more difficult to break into. But if you stay up to date and you keep in touch, I think that the networking is super, super important. You see, like you can show your skills, you can meet these people in the different conferences. Okay, maybe Pocket Gamer or there's a bunch of other conferences. So see where they're going. Definitely like network with them, because you will stay on top of their mind. Don't just get stuck and fixated that, okay, I'm just going to be this and nothing else. Maybe then you stay within your comfort zone, and maybe actually that change is going to be good for you. Maybe you're gonna love it. Maybe you're gonna, once you start looking into the code or doing something else, right? We have seen many times like this data analysts, they turn out to be great developers, and some developers, actually become like great data analyst, because you still need the same skills. You still need to have that analytical mind. So in a way, maybe you're not going to break in how you currently see yourself fit as an artist or as a developer, but you can fit there as a technical artist or maybe like a data analyst, which maybe in the end of the day you're going to enjoy even more.
Very, very useful advice, Oleg. And it kind of brings me on to a slightly different take on that, which is for smaller studios, where you or smaller teams, I should say, where you have to bring additional skills, so you're maybe a programmer, but you might be asked to help out on social media or do a bit of community management. How important is it that you spread yourself across maybe several disciplines? Is that valuable for
Yeah,
some of the
absolutely.
studios out there?
Yes, Brian, this is an excellent question. The bigger the studios are, the more specialized they are, the more specialized you need to be. So if you are going to be like, look at these bigger studios that develop the AAA games, you may be just the vehicle or the props or just like a character artist, very super narrow. If you enjoyed it, so you can go super deep, so being something like super specialist. Or then there's smaller studios. They are looking for more skills, more general, because things may change, and they're looking for more generalist. And I would say it's like I like to think about this in that way. You're either a diver or a surfer. You see, and there's nothing wrong with either of those, right? I'm more like a surfer. It's super difficult for me to just focus on one thing for a very, very long time. But I see a lot of people who are actually super excellent in that. So they are like just different, like maybe it's also different brains, how they work. So I would say that, Brian, absolutely. The smaller the studios, the more generalist skills are needed. And I think that it's actually a great opportunity for somebody who has not yet discovered what is it that you exactly want to do. You see, maybe you want to be a technical artist. Maybe you can do the community management. Maybe you want to be like on the programmer side, because in the smaller studio, you get to do multiple things. And it's so much more easier than to shift, because there's no hierarchy, right? You can go and directly talk to, I don't know, CEO or lead game designer, and then you can do that shift. So in a way that if you haven't yet discovered what is it exactly that you want to do, what is your passion, and where you want to focus, I definitely say like smaller studios, so more generalist type. If you already know that you're just gonna be building vehicles and you just want to focus more and more super like narrow on that one, then definitely look for this AAA like big studios. They will appreciate you being this specialized.
What a great description. I had a former boss who described it as being T-shaped, which is a bang on brand for Game Factory talents. But, so you've got a broad range of very shallow experience, but you specialize in, one or more areas. But I much prefer the diver and the surfer description.
So which are you, Brian? Are you a diver or a surfer?
Oh, I am so a surfer.
Yeah, me too.
There's no question, Peggy. It's I saw one career coach describe it as a multi-passionate generalist, which I think is pretty much bang on. So I might have to update LinkedIn after this call.
Absolutely.
You've been talking about how you need to go after the studio, go after your goals, pursue what you want to do, and ping people and get in front of them. Now, I'd like to turn that around, flip it. How do I engage with recruiters like yourself? How does that work?
Yeah, with recruiters like us, I think that we're also people, right? We
Yes,
are working on multiple assignments, right, from different studios. So things can change quite a bit. So I would say that keeping in touch, definitely we have a lot of new opportunities coming up, like all the time. I love the idea with the LinkedIn, so you can just stay up to date with all the new job opportunities there are. Then 2 times a year, always in April and October, we host game job fairs. This event has helped a lot of people find their new job opportunities. We kicked off the Discord. We have about 5,000 game developers. So we actually run these portfolio review sessions. There are some super senior art directors and art leads who contribute and do like can give you the feedback on your portfolio, on your resume. So it's also called Games Factory Talents on Discord. I think it's a community, and we are planning to keep building it like even more, so that peers can help out. You can get some feedback, you can get some advice, and of course you can get to like connect with us.
And I couldn't hope for a better segue because, yes, we will have how to connect with you in the show notes, obviously, but we have an opportunity to connect with you in real life at the Career Zone. Last year, I heard from the team, and I saw it myself, but I heard from them in particular that it was a hit. It was crowded. It was the place to be. What can we expect from the Career Zone this year?
So this year we have something even more exciting. We've been also building our own like matchmaking tool. I like to think about it as a, how would I say, like a Tinder, so that you have the skills, and basically you can create there like a simple profile about yourself. Specify the skills. We listed all the skills that are in the games industry. Skills, your specialities, seniorities, things you are proud of, your personal achievements. So take time. It's going to take you maybe half an hour to complete it. But after you have done it, the companies at the Pocket Gamer that are looking for talents to join, to help them build great games, can publish their roles there or make their roles available. And basically it's a recommendation. It will recommend you based on your skills and your profile. What are the roles that match you, that you should now at Pocket Gamer come and meet these companies? Either book a meeting with them, or you can visit their stand. Like, doesn't matter. Basically, there's a meeting system that you can meet, and the vice versa. So if you're a studio, you're attending, by publishing the role there as a company, it will also recommend you. It will show you the attendees of Pocket Gamer that have the skills that you're looking for that role. So basically, you will be able to see who's coming, that have the skills to connect. And basically those people that are on the Career Zone digitally, who build their profiles, they are the ones that are open to like new career opportunities. So it makes it easy for companies and talents to just engage.
And for anybody who's going to be attending Pocket Gamer Connect in London later this month, you need to be registering now. Yeah, you want to get on there, you want to get your details in and make sure you're prepared. Because one of the key things that I've always found about events is that you want to show up with a game plan, with a goal in mind.
Absolutely, yes. And it's on the Pocket Gamer website as well. So the link is there. And the beauty of this one, it also has the digital pass. So even if you are not able to make it to Pocket Gamer, but you're interested about career opportunities from the studios attending, you can even build you can get like a digital pass and so whoever, anywhere in the world, you have to be on that list if you're looking for the next big career opportunity.
Perfect. So something there for almost every listener, I'm sure. But anyway, before we let you go, though, there's a couple of questions that we ask all of our guests. The first is, what game are you playing right now? What's obsessing you at the moment? What are you playing too much of when you should be going out and helping people find new jobs? And then the second one is, favourite game of all time. So, what are you playing right now, Oleg?
Yeah. I'm playing Europa Universalis from Paradox Interactive. That's the game.
Nice.
There's no other game that can beat it. I used to play chess when I was at school, actually competing. So I don't like these games where I need to move fast. It's not for me. I need a lot of time to think about it. So strategy game. Yeah, Europa Universalis.
Fabulous. And is that your favourite game of all time, or is there...
No, my favorite game of all time was King's Bounty from this New World Computing. The company doesn't exist anymore, but it was also a strategy game from like 1991 or something like that. King's Bounty, yeah. That's the game of all times.
Fantastic. You know what? I'm going to have to go and track it down online because I'm not sure I've played it.
It turned out to be, then it transformed into this Heroes of Might and Magic. So I think this was the very first version of it. It was super simple, and it was on the Commander like 64. And then years later, of course, it turned out to be like, I think it was a predecessor to like the very first version of that Heroes of Might and Magic. Yeah.
That's great. Well, listen, Oleg, thank you so much for sharing all of that wisdom, all of that insight into, getting a new job, finding a new role in 2024. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing you at PGC London.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll be able to invite you back onto the show at some point in the near future and find out more about what the new year is offering and what's bringing to the table for anyone out there who is looking for a new role. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
This show is all about how to do your job better, how to make an amazing game, how to market it, and you have a say. So if you have a story or know someone we need to shine a light on, then we would love to hear from you.
We want to hear from you. We want to reflect the reality of the mobile games market in all its wonderful complexity and strangeness. So if you have any suggestions for us, if you have any feedback for us, you can always get in touch. You can email us at podcast@pocketgamer.biz. You can find us on Twitter @PGBiz, and you can reach out to us through the pocketgamer.biz website. If you're interested in listening to all of our podcasts, you can find them at pocketgamer.biz/podcast, and we would love to hear your thoughts on future shows.
And we've got you covered on all the major platforms, so subscribe to the audio podcast, as Brian said. Look for us on YouTube. If you want to read it, hey, you can do that too, because we have a companion post for you as well on the pocketgamer.biz website.
Tune in again for the next edition of the pocketgamer.biz podcast, and we look forward to speaking to you in the near future. Until then, I'm Brian Baglow.
I'm Peggy Ann Saltz, and that's a wrap until next week.